I cannot believe that I'm filming episode 49. Again, disclaimer, my 50th birthday is next week. I feel like I should be walking around with a sign. Anyway, I am incredibly excited to be sitting in this living room again also. There's so many amazing things coming up for episode 50. To correlate with my birthday again. But today, instead of having a guest on, Max Silverberg, who is my partner in crime, although no one ever sees him, unfortunately, but puts all of my videos together, has put a compilation of what he thinks is the top 10 of the 49 episodes. I don't know what they are. I feel like I think I know. I don't know. Anyway, it'll be really interesting. I want to thank everybody to date who has either told me they listen to all of them or have listened to even just one of them for a minute, who've given me great feedback. When I thought about doing this a year ago, I really did it kicking and screaming, and now I absolutely love it. I love what I do. I am so lucky to say that about my life. So many people do things for their careers that they don't really have passion for, and I eat, sleep, and breathe it. So to be able to add this to what I do every week and every day really, really excites me. So thank you, everybody, for making this possible. So without further ado, more to come on what is new and exciting for episode 50 and beyond, which I'm bursting to tell everybody about. But let's do number 10. So let's take it away and see. I just feel like Joel's in one of these or more than one of these. And the other thing that's interesting legally, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that let's say I do a home inspection and it uncovers something. Now, the buyer...
We talked about this too, yeah.
The buyer owns that home inspection, does not have to share it. I'm the selling agent and I'm like, what didn't you like? What's going on? And I'm like, if I tell you, you now have to disclose it.
Yeah, and especially realtors.
So sometimes they're not asking.
And we talked about this. There's a difference between realtors and sellers. So realtors have a positive obligation to disclose. Sellers don't.
Oh God, I forgot about that one. So I always find it really interesting what blows up on TikTok and what blows up on Instagram. And there's no rhyme or reason. So for calling all social media experts, I'd love for you to comment below and tell me what it is. But this one went crazy. Our point of the video was not to say that we're not disclosing things that need to be covered up, but more so what the legalities were around home inspections. But Max does a really good job of putting together really fun edits. And this one I think was misconstrued for sure. I don't think you'll find a more honest pair than Joel and I, but I'll just leave it at that. That was a good one. Number 9. Home inspectors do not have a regulatory body. Anyone can become a home inspector. So I would love to know now, how does someone become a home inspector? Like, I'm Rachel Levy. I've decided I'm going to change my profession. I'm no longer going to sell houses and I want to be a home inspector. How do I do that?
Well, I'm going to give you 2 answers.
Okay.
I'm going to give you the wrong way first, and that is you hang out a shingle, print up some cards and say, I'm now a home inspector, and Rachel Levy can be a home inspector by 5 p.m. this evening. Scary.
Really?
That is terrifying, but that is true.
So there's nothing that you have to do?
No, there are lots of ways that are the right way. Our education program for home inspectors is a post-secondary 10-course program. Anyone wanting to be a home inspector and serious about it takes that course. It is far and away the most popular course across Canada.
So that was definitely another viral one. I actually still manage comments on that one on TikTok to this day. I don't know what we're up on that one. I also just did a home pre-inspection for a listing that's coming up for me with Carson Dunlop this morning. Shout out to my favorite Phil inspector. Again, I think the confusion over that one was people did not understand we're in Canada. So in the US, they have way different regulations depending on the state that you're in. Not in Canada. I'm sure that they also differ by province. Carson Dunlop is in Ontario. Anyway, I think that went probably down to the editing, and people have really strong views about home inspections. Anyway, that was back-to-back home inspection. All right, number 8. What have we got? What's the longest you can lock your mortgage in the U.S.?
Oh, I've seen 30. I've seen 40.
Okay, so I just wanted, I get giddy about this because, as someone who owns properties, the luxury of being able to buy something and lock your mortgage in and not think about it and know that your rate is not going to go up and you don't have to worry about it for 30 years. I think that's why the U.S. is having such a hard time with inflation compared to us.
Yeah, possibly.
I mean, think about it. If you knew that your mortgage payment is not going to change for basically the time you're going to own your home with your family, why would you stop spending? Our biggest debt ratio is the mortgage. Our mortgage debt in Canada has been one of the most inflationary problems the Bank of Canada has had to undergo. And then you go to the U.S. and you're like, 30 years.
Yeah, so it's great too. It's from an investor perspective, right?
You can see how excited I was about 30-year amortization. That was Andrew Kim. It was a really recent one from Share. I thought that was a really good episode, actually. I also found people not really wrapping their heads around that in the sense that they thought it wasn't amortization of 30 years. It was locking your rate in for 30 years, which you cannot do. You can amortize your mortgage for 30 years in Canada, but you have to renew your mortgage in a 5-year intervals maximum. Although I have started to hear about 10, but I'm not going to confuse things. But I think that the most interesting comment I saw on that one was someone was like, why would I lock my rate in if it was like 6% for 30 years? And I just thought, again, sometimes people don't get the message. But anyway, all right, what's number 7? You have a landlord that has an old building and it's rent controlled. You can only go, I think 2023 was 2.5%. You could raise your rent. By the way, 2.5% is a lot for some people to even fork out.
No
so I
question.
appreciate that, but they're protected. But then those people are saying, well, my apartment's falling apart. And they don't realize that there's no incentive whatsoever for the landlord to update that building. 0. Because they move you, then they have to put you back in the exact same rent after spending all the money to renovate it, and they have to find you a place to live. And when you look at the dollar and cents, it's not worth it. So that one, I had to turn the comments off. I will never forget. I mean, poor Howie. So very dear old friend of mine agrees to be on my podcast. And I remember going for a run the morning that it had been released, and Darren Slavens, my broker of record, texts me and says, "Are you okay?" And I thought, "Oh my God, like what's happened? Am I okay? What are you talking about?" And I opened my phone and it was blowing up over this episode, and especially over that particular edited teaser. What Howie and I were, and this is what I always find really interesting. People want to watch, I get it, I'm the same way. You watch a 15-second teaser and then not watch the entire episode to ultimately understand what we were trying to talk about. But it was just to kind of poke holes at how much the government says they're on the side of the renters when at the end of the day, they really don't do a ton to move forward their quality of life and living, and it's really not always the landlord's fault. Anyway, I'm sure that'll be really controversial, so we'll move on to number 6. The other misconception is that all flippers go to Home Depot to buy all their fixtures. And listen, I've been through enough, Orly. They do. A lot of them do. Like I will walk in and I'm like, I've seen that, you know that vanity, the vanity I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know the vanity. I know the vanity, yeah.
That same vanity in the same powder room, and you look and you're like, ugh, yeah, they went Home Depot. You can tell, and that vinyl and the way, anyway.
Right. No, I think you're 100. Listen, not knocking Home Depot. There's some great stuff you could get at Home Depot, but the price is going to reflect that then. Because no one's going to, I don't think anyone's going to want to pay top dollar with vinyl from Home Depot.
That was a great one, although I feel like a lot of the feedback I got was from my son because our sons are our friends. I think I brought Orly Nisker on because I wanted her to really speak to the misconceptions about home flipping. I think there have been a lot of negative feelings around people buying homes, and this was not the clip, but she basically said, trust me, the house that you're buying is not the one that she's buying. You would not live in the house that she's buying. And that it really does add inventory and housing for people who are in the market versus, teardowns, for example. Anyway, I loved having Orly on, and I look forward to having her back again. Number 5. You know, I have a buyer. They get there and they're like, the washing machine is making a noise.
It goes clunk clunk.
Well, they warranted it. Oh, they have to replace it now.
No, they have to give you an 18-year-old Maytag. So whatever was there, they don't have to give you a new washer or dryer. They just have to give you a used washer or dryer of roughly the same vintage.
I don't think I got a lot of controversy over that one, but I think it was a really good point to be made. People don't realize when they do buy a home and they're asking to have something like, it says that a seller has to warrant that everything is in good condition, but just because your washer breaks doesn't mean you get a brand new one. Sorry. Okay, number 4.
People are more accustomed to renegotiating their Rogers contract, but they don't think for their greatest debt to do that with their mortgage because they don't know how to. And when they do go to the bank, given the fact that they've already put so much blind faith and trust into the bank being financial advisors, right? I'm doing the quotation thing with my fingers.
No, but it's actually not okay that they do that. Like, they're actually not certified financial advisors.
They shouldn't even have that title. But people believe that they're getting financial advice. Let me financially advise you to take this product offered by this bank, right? Like one bank.
Anytime anyone ever tells me that they're financial advisors at the bank, I'm like, I'm like, oh my God, what? So Ari was a great guest last year, and I still stick by my belief that it's always worth having a conversation with a financial advisor, whether it's Ari or any of the other ones that we work with. I actually had a brand new client refer to me the other day, and I referred them over to a mortgage specialist. And they told him that they had gone to the bank. And so when he asked him, well, how much did you get qualified for? They didn't know. Okay, but did you fill in any paperwork? No. So there are some great people in banks, and I'm not knocking banks, but being able to know what's on the lot of every car dealership is better than just walking into the Toyota one. Not knocking Toyota. All right, we're down to the last 3. Number 3.
If anybody's done a cottage project, if you either built or renovated or whatever, the trades up there, first of all, are really hard to get. Second of all, if you do get a trade, if you do get a trade up there, you're paying triple, at least double or triple the amount.
By the way, no, you heard it here first. If you think that you go north of the city and it's going to cost you less.
No.
I have a builder friend who tells me that they bring their Toronto trades to Muskoka. In fact, I have to get my roof done at the cottage. The local people were charging me 40%. And I thought to myself, you know what, I'm just going to call my guy, right? And see, maybe I'll put him up. I thought it will be cheaper to put him up at a place nearby. And he said, no, I'll drive up and down the same day. No problem. And it was almost half.
We've put guys up in Airbnbs for like months, and it still was cheaper. Significantly cheaper.
I feel like I don't even want to talk about this one because I think I'm still getting death threats over it. First of all, I will tell you the silver lining of that episode was that I had so many great trades reach out to me in my DMs to tell me that they worked in the cottage area, that they were reasonably priced, that they had great referrals to give me, and I really appreciated that part of that episode. The other one was no one was knocking anybody. I am currently doing a renovation on my cottage. There is someone local who's doing it. I absolutely love him. He does a great job. All we wanted to say was just because you go north of the city doesn't mean it's going to cost you half. Anyway, let's see what the last 2 are. Number 2.
You think it's expensive now?
Natalka.
Just wait. We are just scratching the surface as far as costs, and here's why. The City of Toronto is behind 2 years behind for issuing permits for the mundane to the things that will actually be able to increase our housing supply.
Why?
Lack of people working. The systems in COVID were paper-based. They didn't have the infrastructure for it. People didn't have computers to take home.
I thought they had gotten better.
Oh God, still no. And all that backlog, and because there's a lot of NIMBYism, not in my backyard, don't build on the greenbelt, but don't build beside me. So you saw a lot of this
A lot of
this pushback. So whenever anyone's trying to build something, they're gonna have to face all of the pressures.
But still in Toronto after they passed the whole...
Yes, they're still 2 years behind.
Oh, I love that Natalka was in the second to last one. Always love discussing the market with Natalka's brilliant mind. I think this spring season has basically showed that predictions that we had in that episode have rung true, and prices have started to rise yet again. But more to come in episode 50 about that. All right, the last one. Oh God, I'm worried.
I enter into a lease, and in the contract it says that the landlord is going to hold on to a copy of the key. Legal, not legal?
Sure.
We're going to do lightning round.
They have to give you reasonable notice
So
unless
hold on,
it's an emergency.
legal that they have the key?
Yeah, absolutely.
How much notice do they have to give you? And do you have to agree?
Reasonable notice.
Okay, so hi, I'm the landlord. I want to come in tomorrow at 8 o'clock. It's 24 hours.
I need to do an appraisal because my mortgage is up.
Do they need a reason?
No, but
No?
why not share the
No, but let's
reason?
just...
No.
No, lightning round. Stay with me, Joel.
No, they don't need a reason.
How much
and they should give at least...
Can you say no?
No, not really.
Okay, you can't.
But
No, not really.
Try and cooperate.
Just
Try
say
and be
no,
honest.
yes or no.
No.
Okay.
Yes.
So your tenant,
They
the
can come in.
landlord wants
Yes,
to
they
go,
can come
hi,
in.
I'm coming over tomorrow.
No, I want reasonable written notice.
You want reasonable written notice?
I do.
Okay, great. So they've now given you notice, I'm going to sell, and you say, I don't want anybody coming in on the weekend, and I don't want
Right.
anybody coming in after 5 o'clock.
Sure.
Is that legal? Just yes or no?
I don't know.
I don't think I could watch that more and not laugh. I'm just going to say this. I always enjoyed having Joel Kadish on my podcast. A lot of people believe that I talk over him. I want to say it's called editing, although Joel and I have a lot to say, and we both have raging ADD, so we both talk over each other. But he's an excellent lawyer, and I think there was someone who said they went on his site and said that he didn't specialize in tenancy law and he should stay in his own lane, and all I'll say is you should be lucky to be in the same lane as Joel Kadish. And that was a great top 10, and I am so excited for the next 50. Thank you, everybody.